This video is a demonstration of a design thinking process educators can use to analyze student work with a focus on resources and engagement. Please watch the video in its entirety, then go back a second time and use it to analyze work. When using the video the second time, we suggest you stop after each step and apply the directions to the unit you are working on. The first step is to consider student needs, motives, and values. Under the Organization of Knowledge Design Quality, consider how students engage with learning new content. The Schlechty Center two-sided design card can be used for this step. Start with the Side 1 questions which ask, what types of instructional approaches do these students value the most? How do these students like to learn? What are the interests of these students that I might take into consideration if they find the content uninteresting? What technologies appeal to these students? Here are 3 answers for this demonstration. These students like to research and find information on their devices. They do not like lectures or lecture substitutes. An interest survey showed that these students have a friend or relative with a military background. The survey and classroom experience have also shown that these students like to get their information from the internet or a video, and they enjoy creating digital products. Now that answers are known for the Side 1 questions, it is time to consider Side 2 questions. These questions include, where is the knowledge located? What resources, strategies, and materials might I use to make the concepts and skills understandable? What media and presentation formats would appeal to this particular group of students? How might all students access this knowledge? How might I use an interdisciplinary approach? Here are 4 answers for this demonstration. There are excellent internet and web-based videos on World War II that can be used. Primary sources are available. All students can access internet resources because the class is a one-to-one class. Resources can be organized into HyperDocs, Adobe Spark, animation platforms, or TES to provide student access to quality information on their devices. The second step is to analyze an existing unit of work coming up for students. This might be a unit of work from a prior year. It might be a unit of work given in an existing curriculum. It might be a unit from another teacher. But it is an existing unit, and it is something coming up in the scheduled curriculum. This is not a time to design from scratch. Break the unit down into a web of student activities. Each activity should start with a verb. This process is called webbing because when done with a graphic organizer, the final product looks like a web. This sample unit is on World War II in the Pacific Theater. Students will look at 4 specific battles that define this theater. They will address the human impact of war. The overall picture of success is, my students will articulate how and why war happens and the effect it has on mankind. These are the activities students have done in the past for our example. Students read a book on World War II. Students created a digital summary about the book. Students created a battle map of the Pacific Theater. Students created a detailed map of one of the 4 battles. Students analyzed a video from World War II in the Pacific Theater. And from that video, students created a pic collage or video collage that identified 3 real scenes and 3 false scenes. Students created their own strategy for winning the Pacific Theater. Students created a digital argument between Douglas MacArthur and Chester Nimitz around the island hopping concept. Students wrote and recorded a speech for or against the American use of the atomic bomb in World War II. This is the unit as it was done in the past. This is the starting place for redesign for the new unit students will do in the near future. To review, student needs, motives, and values have been identified in relation to organization of knowledge. The work students will do has been webbed for student activity. It is time for Step 3. In Step 3, isolate those activities that relate to learning new content. There are 5 items that are much more related to product focus and higher order thinking skills than learning new content. That doesn't mean these items are not important. It just means they aren't part of this activity that is focusing on the resources to select or create for students to learn new content. In fact, they will be added back later. The current screen now shows only those activities that relate to learning new content. In Step 4, referencing the design card Side 2 answers, consider what can be added or changed so students engage in learning the new content. Put these into the design. In our example, the red type is provided so you can see the design card answers that the activity addresses. Because students like to use their devices, we're going to have them review 5 websites for World War II Pacific Theater content. That's important because a lot of internet content is not accurate, and as a teacher, we're going to choose the 5 sites that the students can go to. These will be organized into a hyperdoc. Students will interview a living veteran, preferably a relative or friend, and compare experiences with those of a World War II Pacific Theater veteran they will learn about in Excerpts from the War, a video by Ken Burns, and the book that will be read, which will now be about a World War II veteran. These activities will need some details worked out in the planning stages. For example, some students may claim they don't have access to a veteran, and the teacher will have to ask a veteran to be available in person or by Skype. Also, the book assignment lends itself well to integration with language arts, so a language arts teacher may be sought out to make the work multidisciplinary. But these are planning issues. The design thinking side of the work, as it relates to organization of knowledge, consists of the activities on the screen. Here is the entire design with application activities added back in. It is time to go to the planning stages and work on the details that make all of these come to fruition. When planning is complete, the design will be implemented. We should assess both engagement and achievement. The data from assessment will be used to redesign this activity in future years and to inform future designs in the weeks ahead.